Everyone, it's Valerie from Stampin' with Valerie, and let's see if I can do this right this time. This is my first live, so I've got to just connect this now into my phone holder here. It was giving me an issue a minute ago and it wouldn't let me go live the right way. But anyway, here I am, and today we are going to make two fantastic cards using the triple stamping technique. I don't know if you've ever tried this, but it's really fun and I think you might enjoy it. So let's give it a shot. I'm going to set these off to the side and we will get started with just a piece of 8.5 by 11 cardstock. Grab our trimmer and we are going to cut this down to 4 1/4. We're going to go the long way with this. As you can see, I'll put it this way so you can see it better. Trim it down to 4 1/4 because we're going to make 2 cards. And then I probably should have trimmed the whole piece first, but we're just going to trim it now. I want it at 8.5 because I want this to be a square card. So it's going to be 4 1/4 and 4 1/4. So let's trim this other one. Next time we'll do it all at one time instead of 2 separate cuts. And then we are going to want to score this at 4 1/4. And we'll do each one of them. So you can see I've got my score line there in the center. And I'll be doing this one as well. There we go. Perfect. All right, go ahead and set that trimmer aside. And then I'm gonna go ahead and fold both of these and use my bone folder just to get a nice crisp edge on that. And then I'm gonna grab another sheet of Whisper White cardstock because we're going to need to cut 2 pieces that are just 4 1/4 by 4 1/4. Obviously, because we're doing both of these cards, we need, I'm going to flip that over because there was a little spot of ink on the other side and we don't want that ink for sure. And then we'll just get 2 at 4 1/4 by 4 1/4. See, those fit right on the front of that card. And that's exactly what we want. And we are going to start some stamping. Now, I'm going to use the Corner Bouquet stamp set. This is an old retired Stampin' Up set, but I thought it was very similar to this stamp set called Delicate Forest because it's got like this little piece here. So it reminded me of these flowers and these this foliage here in the Corner Bouquet stamp set. Now this is a current stamp in Stampin' Up's mini catalog. So if you have a demonstrator, you can talk to them and order one of those. I don't sell those, so it's just something I do like to use their products. So I'm going to grab that large stamp and also the smaller one, and I want to use my Stamparatus. Now, if you don't have a Stamparatus, if you have something like a Misty or one of those other stamping platforms, that's fine too. It's just whatever you have. Use whatever you have. And I'm going to first take each of my cards. My magnets connecting to my dies there. I'm going to put it in. This is the front of my card. I'm going to hold that down with my magnet. And then I'm going to set my stamps where I want to stamp them on that 4 1/4 by 4 1/4 card front. Now, of course, these are cling stamps and they're kind of sticky, so as I'm moving them, they'll be sticking to my fingers. But we'll get that. And then I'm going to just press my plate down and we go ahead and, have that all, get it where we want it is what I'm trying to say. And it's not coming out. I want to use some Blackberry Bliss ink because I think it's gorgeous with just that Blackberry Bliss in white. And I'm going to ink up those stamps. And then you're just going to fold that back down. And I got to kind of press hard, and I'll show you why in just a second. It's because I kind of do it a little bit differently than other people. I have, isn't that beautiful? There's a little foam mat in here, and you can take that out when you're using red rubber stamps, but I leave it in because I like that extra cushion. So that's why I have to press just a little bit harder. And then we're just going to do the exact same with that second card. And now I could do these all separate and cut one and then cut the other, but it's just quicker if we just go ahead and do them like this. Perfect. So now we have the beginning of both of our cards. Next, we're going to take those 4 1/4 inch pieces that we had, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to stamp on each of those, because in just a minute we're going to do some cutting with the die cutter, which I'm not going to put on camera because mine is electric and it's already plugged in on another table. But we don't want to cut until these are dry anyway, so we'll get them stamped and let them dry. Ink that up one more time. And then we should be done with inking up the stamps. So I'm just going to take that plate off. Sure, I'm going to take that plate off, right? As it's giving me an issue. And I kind of smeared that, but we're going to go with it anyway. Just set that aside, set this aside. And I'm going to grab the plate for my die cut machine. Now I have, like I said, I have an electric one. It's the Sizzix Big Shot Switch. And so my plates are a little bit bigger than a lot of die machines. And we're going to use some square dies. These dies are from Stampin' Up's layering squares, and they are retired, I believe. I'm quite sure they are. And we're going to use this one, which measures, let me make sure. The cut part is just right around 2 7/8 by 2 7/8. So we'll go ahead and get that one set on there. And I'm not going to tape these down with washi tape only because I find it's been ripping my paper and I don't like that. Now the cut part for this one is about 1 7/8 by 1 7/8. I'm going to set that right in the center of that one. Now, as you probably know, or maybe you don't, I don't know, sometimes when you're cutting with your die cutters, if you're using cardstock, it gets stuck in all these little grooves on the plates. So to avoid getting those little pieces of cardstock impressed into the top of my image, I'm going to put just a blank sheet of paper on there. I'm going to hold on to this, and I've got to kind of hold it together to keep it going. And then I'm going to run it through my cutter, and this is going to be a little loud, so just be prepared. But I'm still here. We're just going to let that go. While that's going, I'm going to grab some dimensionals because we're going to be using these, and then we're also going to be using a stamp from the Notes of Nature stamp set, and we're going to be using Today Is All About You, Happy Birthday. So you can see how that's kind of pressed in, and I've got all my little pieces here. So I'm going to set that with this card. How perfect is that, right? And then we are going to take this card, and we are going to cut out just one square out of that, because we're going to save this piece for our center of that one, if that makes sense. And then I'm going to go ahead and cut this again, just so I can get it done while we got the noise going on from this machine, and we won't have to cut again after that. Not with the machine anyway. Perfect. All right, so we should be done with all of the die cutting now. I'm going to set that aside so it's out of our way, and we can start assembling our cards, and they really are quite easy to do. We're not going to need, let's start with this one on the right, and that will be this card here where we're going to layer up. So we're going to use that larger square that we cut out, and it's going to fit onto our card this way. We're going to get some dimensionals on the back of that. We'll just put one in each corner and then one in the center, and that should be plenty. Now this card I probably would not mail, only because it's a little bit thicker, but it can be mailed. You might just have to pay extra postage, which, you know, kind of stinks, but probably an extra stamp would be plenty. But I'm not a postmaster, so I can't tell you that for sure. Let's go ahead and fold our card. And we're just going to line this up as best we can with everything on the card here. And so you got that first little section, and then we're going to line up this other little piece that we cut out from this one. So we're kind of cutting twice, but using one piece from one of them for this card. And then we'll do the same. We'll just put a dimensional or foam dot, whatever you have, in each corner. And then get those backings off, and then we can put that in the center of this card, and then we will get a sentiment ready for this card. And like I said, we're going to use the same sentiment for both of the cards. And now we're just going to line this up kind of the same way we did the other one. A little off center on that one, but it's really not super noticeable, so I'm just going to go with it. Grab our ink again, and then we're going to grab our cutter, because we need to make a piece that is 3/4 inches wide by 4 3/8. So let's get that 3/4 inch wide cut first, and then we'll get it. Should probably cut up here where you can see me better at 4 3/8. Because what I want to do with this is I want to kind of bend it a little bit. So let's grab our sentiment, get that stamped in the center, as close to the center as you can get it on that little strip. And then grab some glue dots, because we're just going to put a glue dot on each end. Super easy. You don't have to worry about glue or anything. You can just use that glue dot. Stick that glue dot down on one side, and then I need to kind of look at it myself from this angle to make sure I'm getting it right. And then you've got that cute little, looks like a little bridge kind of going across. And then we can use some fantastic little, just plain silver rhinestones is all I used to embellish these cards, because I thought they just looked really cute. I put one on each end over here, and then just wherever else you want to put some on the card. And I didn't use like a ton of them, but 5 or 6, which, you know, some people are like, that's way too many, but I like it. I want it to have some sparkle to it. So there's the first one. How cute is that? And that triple stamping is just giving you that extra little layer. Now, I've seen triple stamping done where they actually will cut out another piece of cardstock that will fit around each of those squares and just barely give it a little bit of an outline. But I like this method really well, because it just builds up and it just looks beautiful. So there's that one. And let's go ahead and I'll show you how to do the second one. Now this one is a little bit different because this one is going to go in instead of up, if that makes sense. And it will in just a second once we get all of our dimensionals on here. So the first thing you want to do is for this outside square, go ahead and put one on every corner. And you're going to definitely need some extras for this one because this one takes quite a few because it's so big and you're going to be doubling these dimensionals on this outside square. I'm going to move that one out of the way for right now. So now that we've got all those on there, we're just going to take the backings off from all of them, and then we're going to add another dimensional to each one to make it a little bit taller, because we want that outside edge to be taller than the inside. And the inside's going to have one layer of dimensionals, so obviously this one needs two. So it's perfect. Let's get this. Get these all off. I think I've got all of them now. Oh, not that one. And then we'll just add a dimensional onto each one of those. And now, like I said, it's a lot of, you know, foam dots or foam dimensionals, whatever you have, but it's really pretty when the card is done. And it's something, like I said, that I would just hand deliver, but, you know, up to you if you want to mail it or not. And now the fun thing about this is you can use any, like I use 2 separate stamps for this, but if you have a large stamp that is especially something floral that you want to do this with, that's perfect. You can just use 1 stamp and get a beautiful card that way as well. And you don't have to do a square card like I'm doing. I only did a square card because these 2 stamps make the perfect little square card. You could do a larger card. You could do a 5x7. You could do 5.5 by 4 1/4. You know, it depends on what size cards you normally make and mail. But you could do these in any size. You just would have to use maybe some different dies, like some rectangle dies. You could even use circular dies or oval dies if you wanted to. But anything you could do to make this, do this triple stamping technique. Make sure you got a good crease on this one before you start laying this down, and make sure you turn your card piece so you got it the right way. So you get that first layer down, and you can see that's quite tall because of the double dimensionals there. And then our next layer is going to go in here, but just with 1 layer of dimensionals on here. We don't need quite as many for this piece because it's obviously much smaller. And we're only doing a single layer, so we don't need quite as many. So I hope you're all having a good day. I don't know how to see my comments or any of those things yet, so if there's any live comments, I promise you I will get back to them as soon as I really know how to do this better. All right, get all of those backings off, and then we're going to layer that, put that right in the center. And you kind of just line it up like with the top edge or the bottom edge, it doesn't matter. It's going to go right in there. Make sure you get it stuck down really well, and then you can see that dimension just like this. So isn't that fantastic? I love that. And then we're going to do the same thing. We're going to cut a 3/4 inch wide piece, which I've got some left here that we can use. But this one I'm only going to make 4 1/4 wide because it's just going to fit across the front of the card. I'm not going to give it that little bridge look like I did with this first one. So then just cut that piece at 4 1/4. Get your sentiment, whatever sentiment you're using. Stamp it on there, and that one's a little bit, let's do a new one. That one was a little bit smudged. And this is already 4 1/4 wide, so I just need to trim that at 3/4. Perfect. And we'll try one more time without smudging it. There's a little bit of ink on that piece of paper. There we go, perfect. And then again, glue dot on each end. Oops, that one didn't quite stick. There we go. Just bring that across the center, or you could do it up toward the top or whatever, but I just think it looks better in the center. And then just embellish again, whatever embellishments you want to use. I just think these regular silver rhinestones look great with the Blackberry Bliss. And put as many or as few as you want. It's your card. Make it the way you want it. I think that's fantastic, just like that. Now, I also thought, and this is some retired ribbon, I just made a little bow so you could see if you wanted to add a bow like up in the corner or something, that would be really cute as well. If you wanted just to add something a little extra, but it's not necessary. But just in case you want to. So you have those options. I thank you for joining me. I truly appreciate it. I hope you have a great rest of your day. And thank you. Bye. Now I got to figure out how to stop my video, everybody. There we go.